Taraji P. Henderson was born September 11, 1970. She studied acting at Howard University and began her Hollywood career in guest roles on several TV shows before making her breakthrough in Baby Boy, and this was in 2001. Miss Taraji received praises for her performances as a prostitute in the movie Hustle and Flow, and she did this in 2005, in which she received a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a cast in a motion picture. Taraji has had an extensive and successful career in Hollywood. However, in 1994, Henson gave birth to her son Marcel, and his father was Henson's high school sweetheart, and his name was William Lamar Johnson, and he was murdered in 2003. See, what you guys were not paying attention to is just that in 2001, Taraji P. Henson came out in the movie Baby Boy. Just 2 short years later, her baby daddy and her son's father were murdered. Taraji sat down with an interview and gave a statement. She stated, quote, "My son's father was suddenly taken, murdered, when he was 9, and I didn't know how to tell him that." What I've noticed, guys, about these celebrities that are making sacrifices, allegedly, they always say that something happened suddenly, out of the blue. We didn't see it coming. These are very, very suspicious statements that these rappers and actresses and singers are making when they lose someone they love, a family member, a relative, or a spouse. Taraji went on to say in the interview, "I couldn't tell my son that his dad was murdered." C. Johnson was 33 years old when he was stabbed to death on January 26, 2003. See, guys, the meaning of 33 is a connection to a certain promises made by God. And there were 33 times that Noah's name was used in the Bible and Scripture. And it was when he made his pledge with the sign of the rainbow. See, guys, what you guys are not realizing that even in the Bible, these characters were sacrificing their family members. And they made pledges as well. And check this out. The 33rd time Abraham's name is used in the Bible is when Isaac, the child of promise, is born to him when he is 99 years old. And if you don't believe me, check it out in Genesis 21, 1 and verse 2. Now, I just stated that Taraji P. Henson's baby daddy died when he was 33. And Taraji also stated that her son, Marcel, was only 9 years old. You guys can do the numbers on that. Once you have, come back and listen to this portion of the video. See, what I find is very odd about Mrs. Henson is that she lied to her own son about how his father was actually murdered. See, there was a confrontation over slashed tires, and this is what seemingly escalated to his death. Taraji went on to state it was very, very hard for her to tell her son exactly how his dad passed away. She stated that she lied to her son and instead told him that his father died in an accident. She stated that she didn't have the balls. It wouldn't come out. She said it was in the paper and she didn't know how to tell him that. He was stabbed to death and it was the worst way that you could die. Marcel, a very angry young man at the time, learned about this on his own and what happened to his dad. And he angrily confronted his mother about it. So according to reports on that incident, which occurred on June 25th of 2003, Mark, isn't what Taraji called him, went to confront a husband and wife at their apartment regarding allegedly slashing he and his friend's tires. And according to that report, the court's documents stated that the husband started beating Mark over his head with a lamp. And then his wife stabbed him multiple times. But check this out, guys. The couple was convicted of manslaughter and they were sentenced to only 30 months. For the wife, and 50 months for the husband. Taraji stated that he had to deal with life in a way that a lot of young kids haven't yet. Which this is clearly false, and she knows this. This happens around the world every single day. Children lose their fathers to unsenseless violence. And she stated, although we were not together when he was killed, I still loved that man. And they asked her, do she mourn for him? And she said, absolutely she mourns for him. I wish my son had his dad, she quoted said. But sometimes things line up and they have to happen, and we just don't know why. Don't you guys think that's an odd statement? Things have to add up and line up, and they just have to happen? I find this very, very odd. Being that Taraji said in the beginning that she couldn't tell her son exactly how his dad passed away, and that she hurts for him. So when your son learning about how his father was actually murdered, Miss Taraji, the question is that when your son learned about how his dad was actually murdered and you lying in the first place? In my opinion, this was a blood sacrifice. Did you tell your son that sometimes things line up and they have to happen? And then she goes on to say, but we don't know why. Now, why wouldn't we know why it happened? When in the news they reported that he went to a neighbor's house to confront them about slashed tires. So what do you mean, why it happened, Taraji? It's clear on what they reported, what allegedly happened. Is there something more to why it actually happened? And why was the couple only sentenced to 30 and 50 months? And they murdered someone. Who gets off with murdering someone? And when this murder occurred in 2003, just 2 years earlier, she was in the movie Baby Boy. Add up the facts, guys. Yes, pursuing her career when she came out in Baby Boy in 2001. He was murdered in 2003. So Taraji had already accepted the oath because at the time they were not even together. And she was just a struggling mom pursuing her career in Hollywood when this murder actually took place. She was on welfare and she lived in a poor section of her town. And at that time, she said she was worried about being recognized from her roles. And at that time, Taraji stated that she found a way to keep her gang face on. So my question, Taraji, what other secrets are you really keeping from your son, Marcel? And if I had been in that position that she was in, for them to be sentenced to only 30 and 50 months, I would have been at that court date every day, pursuing, hired my own attorney, and made sure that they both received life in prison because this was a murder. Or was this a blood sacrifice? Taraji never made any talks of fighting and getting justice for her son's father, being that he was brutally murdered, which left her to be a single mom. Instead, she goes into Hollywood and pursues her career as an actress. But at the same time, she never fought, rallied, or did anything to push the charges up for the couple that allegedly killed her son's father. Don't you think that's odd, guys? It seems that she was okay with the sentencing to only 30 and 50 months. But her son would end up being without the father for the rest of his life. There you have it, guys. Clearly, in my opinion, once again, this had to have been a sacrifice if we read in between the lines and pay attention to the details. Things are just not adding up here. Thanks for watching my content. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and drop a comment. Till the next video.